Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we are diving into the absolute architecture of how to truly acquire and retain language, all based on a really intriguing source text. We aren't just looking at a random list of words here. We're exploring exactly how to turn your vocabulary into a powerful everyday tool. Right at the very beginning of our source material is this brilliant quote from Henry Ward Beecher: "All words are pegs to hang ideas on." Think about that for a second. That is exactly the mindset we're exploring today. Every new word you master is a brand new peg, one that allows you to grasp and communicate much bigger, far more complex ideas. So let's just dive right into this. What we're looking at is a renowned guide called 504 Absolutely Essential Words. It's uniquely designed to systematically expand your word knowledge. It's not just some heavy, dusty dictionary. It's a carefully crafted framework that we can actually use to upgrade how our brains process and remember new vocabulary. Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the vocabulary framework itself, put a big spotlight on Lesson 10, and then group those words into three core themes: competition and success, traits and tendencies, and danger and fear. Then we'll wrap the whole shebang up with the power of context. First up, the vocabulary framework and its methodology. The really crucial point here is that this book doesn't just hand you a word and wish you luck. No way. It uses a very specific four-step methodology. First, you get a crystal clear definition. Second, and honestly, this is the vital part, you get exactly 3 sample sentences. It's this rule of 3 repetition that literally plants the word deep into your memory. Third, the word is embedded into a short article for real-world context. And fourth, you get exercises to test your mastery. It's basically a closed-loop system for absolute retention. Moving right along, let's put a spotlight specifically on Lesson 10. We'll kick things off with our first theme: competition and success. Our very first word is excel. The source provides the phonetic spelling for us, excel, putting the punch right on that second syllable. Its core meaning is pretty simple: to be better than or to do better than. It really implies surpassing a standard or just completely outperforming expectations. Next up is compete, pronounced compete. The definition is to try hard to get something wanted by others or to be a rival. And honestly, there is a very direct, logical relationship between these two. You generally have to compete before you can truly excel, right? Now, what's really interesting about this is how it perfectly applies that rule of 3 we talked about earlier. We see the immense versatility of the word excel across 3 completely distinct sample sentences. We've got a negative context with Larry striking out in sports, a positive achievement with Hannah crushing it in swimming, and then this surprisingly dramatic professional prerequisite for the famous lawyer Clarence Darrow. I absolutely love how intense these vocabulary examples can get, but seriously, this repetition proves exactly how adaptable this single peg really is. Okay, let's shift gears to our next theme: traits and tendencies. Here, the lesson hands us 2 natural antonyms. First, feminine, and notice the careful phonetic breakdown: fem-a-nin, meaning of women or girls. Then, on the flip side, masculine, pronounced masculine, meaning of man or male. Learning natural opposites together like this is a fantastic anchor, especially for ESL learners who are looking to lock down both pronunciation and meaning at the exact same time. To really round out this whole theme of human nature, we have tendency, pronounced tendency. It describes a leaning, a movement in a certain direction. One of the most powerful sample sentences the source provides to cement this concept is: "The tendency in all human beings is to try to survive." That just perfectly captures how a tendency is a deeply natural, inherent leaning. Next up is a slightly darker theme: danger and fear. And this brilliantly illustrates how words can actually scale in intensity to tell a mini narrative. Think about it. First, you might underestimate a situation, setting way too low a value on its severity. Because of that initial mistake, you might suddenly face a direct menace, an actual threat. Hopefully you can outrun it, but the resulting emotional reaction to that threat is dread, looking forward to what comes next with absolute paralyzing fear. Grouping words into a narrative like this literally wires them into your brain forever. Which brings us to our final section: the power of context. Seeing the actual source page for Lesson 10 shows exactly how all of this comes together. Embedding these words in real, varied sentences completely prevents them from floating away as isolated, forgettable facts. Actually, think of it this way. A word without context is really just a sound. But when you apply the framework, when you see the pronunciation, the core definition, and those multiple distinct examples, you give that word roots. So that leaves us with a pretty provocative question.
How are you going to utilize your new vocabulary today? Are you going to excel in a big project? Or maybe identify a brand new tendency in your workflow? This 504 framework completely changes the game, showing us how to turn everyday words into strong pegs so we can hang our greatest ideas on them. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me today.